So let's see what we have for you guys. Okay, well, new beginnings. This is looking good. We have the Judgment card out here, and a lot of you too. I do feel that that Mercury retrograde period was a little like reflected on, filtered out, and you know how to move forward at this point in your life. Okay, so things are looking great. The situation that came to light, and I feel like that troublesome energy for the first 2 weeks, especially. It was brought about by somebody from your past. Okay, we have the Six of Cups crossing it here. I can't emphasize this enough. Okay, you know that whole Saturn return phase, especially people, because you are also very people oriented and you establish very strong, deep emotional connections with other people. You might not show it, but I feel that a lot of you have trouble letting go. Okay, and one of the lessons that Saturn teaches us is, in general, you have to learn to let go. Otherwise, especially when it comes to things that you know for a fact are not good for you, or not healthy for your well-being, things that do not contribute to your to longevity or even to your growth. It is really important to, like, once you outgrow someone, or especially once people have proven themselves to be untrustworthy, please just let it go, because that's crossing you right now. That's preventing the new situation from coming through. Okay, it's preventing new beginnings from really starting. And since Saturn, that I feel like no matter what, it's blocking new energies from coming in for you. So just please don't even interact with people from your past. It's not going to serve any purpose. For those of you though, and I feel like, you know, depending on where you fall, if you are the one that is unable to let go of the other person, then, you know, really let them go. If you're on the other side of the coin, where other people are not letting you move forward, you're going to have to, you know, take the initiative and kind of like just weed them out. You have to be mean about it if you need to. Just weed them out. But in general, this is also like the past is coming back up as well for you to re-examine the path that you're on. Okay, so it can play out in the mundane sense that, you know, people are just being troublesome and meddlesome, or in the greater scheme of things, it can be something a little bit more cosmic, a little bit more troublesome, in that you have to like reinvent yourself and you have to really assess what it is that you're doing, especially like lifestyle choices or decisions that you've made, and to know if it's in alignment with your values and your beliefs. Okay, so that's really, really important as well, because once again, new beginnings cannot start because you're being blocked here, and it's a universal blockage. So don't allow old behaviors to affect new things from happening for yourself. Okay, in the recent past, we have the Seven of Cups, and this is in the reverse position. So I do feel that a little bit of clarity came into your life in the recent past. And because of it, I do sense that in general, for those of you who have who have had falling out with other people from your past, you're starting to realize, you know, where they're coming from. So it's sort of like, it's very good clarity in that it explains to you other people's motives. It explains to you your own motives for doing something. And because of it, you're able to grow and you're able to realize that, you know, it needed to happen. And in the greater scheme of things, you're starting to see the big picture, okay? So even if the information is like desirable, even if, for example, if someone from your past who has been very hostile with you, and you're trying to figure out why, and then this information came to light in which they tell you, you know, it's because they were jealous of your behavior with other people, like coworkers or friends and things like that, then you realize, okay, they really care about me, that's why they were jealous. It doesn't excuse the behavior, and it also doesn't change anything that happened in the past, okay? So if there was a falling out, there was a reason for it. Knowing this information now doesn't change anything. However, you can take the information you can process it, and then you can move on forward, and then you can, be a better person when you deal with situations in the future. So instead of waiting for things to escalate, you can ask your relationship partner in general, like, how they feel, and ask them to express themselves a little more, or you yourself can learn to be more expressive in the future. So either way, it doesn't mean that, okay, maybe I can rekindle the situation. I don't feel that's what it's meant to be, because Saturn weeds out things that don't work in your life. So they have gone through the ringer and they didn't make the cut. So there's no point for that past energy to be coming back, okay? On top of that, what's crowning you here is I also feel that you're putting on a very brave face, and you are trying to, like, not let it affect you, but at the same time you're dealing with a lot of regret. You're dealing with a lot of, like, like, what ifs, and in general, I do feel that you are embarking on a new phase. So don't get dragged down by this past energy, which is essentially is blocking you from new things. Okay, so you are putting on a brave face about it because you don't want the other person to realize how much they are affecting you. But at the same time, reflecting back on this situation, say your piece and move on. Okay, because ultimately what's coming in for you is that this situation is not repairable. Okay, and you know that, and it's really important for you to really accept the fact, because I do feel with the Tower in the reverse position, this is something that is coming to an end. It's kind of like, I hate to use this expression, but this is the only thing that I can think of. It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion, okay? There's nothing anybody can do about it. It is going to happen. It is going to end in tears. But you're outside of the situation, so you're not, like, heavily affected. But at the same time, you are sympathetic, you are empathetic with the people that are involved in this process. And when you're looking at this is something that cannot be repaired. You see it coming, so you know how to prevent yourself from really getting hurt. And the important thing is, it is really important for you to just not get hurt, because, in this deck, there's only one person falling out of the Tower, whereas in the standard Rider-Waite deck, there are two people. So it's kind of like both parties have contributed to this falling out, and both parties are hurt severely. In this deck, I'm sensing like one party is severely hurt. If you are a male in a relationship with a female, I do feel that more than anything, she's going to land on her feet. She's going to be okay, and you're not in the picture in this context. So I do feel in general that it is going to be, you're watching this, and you're watching this situation culminate and come to an inevitable end. Okay, for Scorpio women, I do feel in general likewise. You are going to land on your feet no matter what. So the other party is nowhere in sight. Have all these butterflies that are kind of like pulling her dress, and person that you expected. Okay, so in a way it's better because you have more people that are trying to pad your landing, rather than putting your eggs in one basket and depending on one person who didn't follow through. You're going to be okay, so don't worry too much about it. And the Tower is never a good card in any position, but in general it is much more favorable in the reverse position. But at the same time, the crowning energy is that you're going to be fine. This is your card. It can be male or female, but I do feel that there's just heavy Scorpio influence in this situation. For those of you who are, well, in every context, I do feel that ultimately it's sort of like what's going to happen. And for those of you who knowingly walked into this situation anticipating kind of like the worst case scenario, it is the worst case scenario, and it's going to happen. But because you prep yourself, I feel that you're going to be okay, emotionally at least. So as for the advice here, we have the Two of Wands. And the Two of Wands is basically, when I look at this card, I do feel like it's in the reverse position. But if you look at this, I do sense that in general, it's sort of like the world is opening up for you. A lot of people say this is also like the planning stages, the initial stages of starting a project. It's sort of like looking at the world and dreaming about the possibilities. I do feel in the reverse position here that it's not realistic for you at this point to be dreaming, because I do feel that coupled with the Seven of Cups in the past position, there was a great deal of like it's kind of like idolizing, the wrong things. It's kind of like casting all your aspirations into wrong people. I'm sensing it's related to people. And it might be also in situations where you're kind of like enchanted by the way somebody looks rather than the substance that they possess. Okay, so that's type of attitude and that type of like behavior definitely needs to change, and it needs to be left behind. And I do feel moving forward that you're going to be a lot more realistic, and you're going to take extra time to really plan out projects, plan out relationships, plan out um, a multitude of things that you're going to move forward with. So in general, it's kind of like, at the same time, I do feel it's a little bit fear based in that you're being extra cautious, okay? And I don't feel there's anything wrong with that, because, on the heels of the Tower, you really want to be cautious. So it seems like the practical thing to do. And as for your external environment, we have the Ace of Coins. So in general, financial situations are looking good. A lot of you too. Um, I do sense in general that, if this is a work situation, new projects will come that will bring you a lot more financial prosperity and a lot more happiness in general, okay? As for your hopes and fears, in general, the Seven of Wands also indicates like a card of, it's a card of defense. It's sort of like doing what you want and you don't really, despite the opposition, okay? So in a way, you have to defend yourself, but you're kind of hesitant about doing that because that puts you on the spotlight. And in this situation, I do feel that you're ready to take that spotlight, or, have that spotlight shine on you. You're ready to be in the limelight, and you're ready to like give people your peace of mind, because what they feel, what they do has no bearing on who you're about, okay? So in a way, it's sort of like, despite the opposition, you're going to shine. You're going to be able to express the things that you need to express, and whatever they have to say, that doesn't really affect you. So you're hoping for that situation. You're hoping for that, but there's also a little bit of anxiety in general, where you are like put on the spot and you have to like think on your toes. So there's an element of that. So it's a little bit fear-based, but let's look at the outcome here. Okay, so the outcome in general, we have the Seven of Swords in the upright position. This is not a good card in general. The financial situation in general, from your external environment, there is going to be quite a bit of money coming through for you. And I do feel that you're kind of like, you're being recruited, okay? The only problem is, stand true to your values, because this hard lesson that Saturn taught you is going to be repeated. We are going to go through that whole cycle in which Saturn is going back to, it's going to transit Scorpio once again, okay? So Sagittarius are getting like a little bit of a break, but at your expense, okay? So sorry about that. But what I am sensing is, if this is a similar situation, if you're starting to feel like deja vu, do things a little differently, okay? So that it doesn't lead to the same outcome. So do things differently and be very realistic about how you want to be perceived. Be very true to yourself. Even though others don't agree with you, you don't have to play nice, okay? You can just tell them to walk away, and you're going to continue doing what it is that you want to do. However, if you've been doing the same thing without getting different results, if anything this week screams out deja vu, start thinking about things a little differently, because you're heading down the wrong path, essentially. Also, when it comes to like the financial situation, ask a lot of questions. I do feel this is finance related as well. As for the Hierophant, this is also a very spiritual card, okay? It's in this deck, I'm reading it as a mixture of the Magician, and it's somebody that has a lot of power for good or for bad. So in this situation, if I do feel that this is also like a karmic and a cosmic energy cycling through to force you to confront a lot of uncomfortable issues, okay? So for those of you who are working in a company, in a very big institution, especially like when it comes to law, be very careful that you're not doing anything that, outside of the guidelines, okay? Just be very careful. And at the same time, I do sense that for those of you who have been, bogged down with like financial obligations and who have come from a place of like financial worries, I do feel that there is going to be an opportunity this week. Be very careful about this, where you or somebody else that you're dealing with, it's sort of like using kind of like a red herring to distract everybody so they can skim off some money from the top, okay? Like, so there is an element here of deception, but at the same time it's sort of like causing a spectacle so that somebody else can get away with, skimming off the top. And like there's some money missing, and that element is going to come out for this week. So be very careful about this. If this is something that you're doing, I would say, just protect yourself, be very, very careful. But I do feel that this is very karmic, so watch yourself, watch your back. If this is something that happened in the past and you're continuing the same type of behavior, I just want you to be very, very careful, okay? Um, it's sort of like the law of the universe. Whatever you take, you're going to have to pay back eventually. If not this lifetime, then the next. And then it's also like there are two crimes committed. The first is just, the physical act of stealing. That money has to come from somewhere. So it needs to be repaid, and it's going to get repaid in different ways. And at the same time, it's distorting, I guess, the balance of the universe. Whereas, that money is supposed to go to somebody, now they're deprived of it. So you're kind of disrupting the flow as well. So not only do you have to pay it back, I feel that in general, you have to pay it back tenfold. So that's just the way the universe works. What goes around comes around and things like that. But it's going to come around because of the Saturn return, because of like this cosmic energy. It's going to come around in a way that you did not anticipate. Okay, so be very careful for this week. Stay true to yourself. Buffer yourself against temptation in general. Temptations in every respect, in every aspect of your life. Okay, on the work front, in romance, and don't covet things that belong to other people in general, okay? So Scorpio, sorry again for another grim reading, but I do feel in general that Saturn is making a comeback in your sign. So just be very careful and watch out for signs, watch out for warnings. You have very strong intuition, so always listen to your inner voice, okay? I hope, regardless, that for those of you who are on the straight and narrow, who have learned the lessons and who are, just trying to lay low and trying to do the right thing, I really commend you. And I do feel in general that this energy will alleviate. So, try to have a good weekend. I will see you next week. Thanks for watching.